All right, I guess it's a quick live video. Just wanted to share some thoughts on disappointment. So I just got back to my hotel. The multi GP International Open went pretty badly for me. Wanted to defend it. Really wanted to defend my podium last year in the over 40 race, but never got my quads more than a yard off the block. Wanted to do well in the tiny group race, but didn't do very well on that. Did very poorly. And in the World Cup, just right now, I got tossed out with bad video. Um, so I had dinner and a shower, and I'm over the disappointment. But I have some thoughts to share on how to better handle it. Because every single year, I see great pilots leaving the hobby or taking a break. And I think disappointment is a large part of why that happens. And to some degree, I think it's up to you how you deal with it. You can control your emotions to some degree. You don't have to let them just happen to you. And one of the things I think that really helps is to realize that, like in pretty much any sport, aside from the person who wins, every single person there is going to have a legitimate reason, if they want to feel disappointed. There's only one winner, and other than first place, everyone else could possibly have done better. Even second place might be kicking themselves. And drone racing has a lot of variance between the complex combination of cheap components we throw together to fly, to mid-airs that we all hate, to, of course, the fact that it's really hard to fly drones, and we all make momentary minor mistakes in every single race. Nobody flies perfectly, except maybe Min Chan, but even he makes mistakes. I've seen him crash out too. So between all of that, you end up with a hobby that has very, very high variance. You have big swings. And those momentary mistakes could be all that it takes to make a difference between winning or losing. A VTX dying on you right in the start of the race might be the end of your road. Someone else mid-airing you might be what happens. Every single event out there's going to be somebody, if not a lot of people actually, who are going to have a bad time. I have a lot of experience with that this last year. I know. I certainly have to deal with a lot of it as a pilot who is kind of just in the middle of the pro class with, which doesn't mean much in this sport because the people at the top are so far ahead of me. I know I'm going to lose. In these type of events, I'm actually not coming here to do anything other than compete with myself. So, even then, so I'm already accepting disappointment in regards of, I know I'm not going to be the winner, but I'm just there to compete against myself. And even then, hey, there's disappointing times when you don't get the chance to. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that disappointment is inevitable in drone racing, and if you learn to expect the inevitability of disappointment, you'll roll with the punches a lot easier. It's a frustrating and brutal hobby, and that's why there's so few of us willing to do this. I mean, for every 100 FPV pilots out there, there's fewer than one who race regularly. I mean, and think of all the DJI pilots out there. I mean, there's very few of us who are willing to put up with this. And if you're going to get into this, you need to just expect this. And when it happens to you, just try to roll with it. Otherwise, you're going to burn out. I think that's the difference between, when the inevitable disappointment happens, that's the difference between people who stick around and try to get better and people who burn out and move on. So I think, simply put, one of the keys to this is realizing that this is fundamentally a high variance sport, and you're inevitably going to run into some painful bad luck. And there's a lot of pilots out there who only visualize success. They just, they think about exactly what they're going to do. I'm going to visualize my position. I'm going to get their goals. And there's some motivational people out there, I'm sure, who believe that that's actually, a way to achieve success, to visualize that. That's a topic for other people to argue about, but personally, I don't believe in any of that. I just think that people who are motivated enough to sit around visualizing success all the time tend to be just highly motivated, and highly motivated people tend to succeed more often than others due to the high degree of motivation. So I think it's a correlative link, not a causative link. So anywho, consequently, I don't think there's anything wrong with visualizing failure. And that's kind of what I'm trying to get to here. Actually, hell, facing your worst fears head on and thinking about them instead of mentally avoiding them is actually a medically valid strategy that psychologists will teach you to deal with anxiety and with fear. So if you go into drone racing and to big events, and you only are sitting around thinking about how well you think you can do, and you're not also saying, on the other hand, worst case scenario is I don't get to fly at all because of, my quad being a dick, yeah, I don't have any quads right now. Actually, I want to say a shout out to all the great pilots out there. Everywhere I go, there's someone who's willing to help me fix my quads because I don't like building and repairing. It's a frustrating point that I like to avoid if I can. And everywhere I go, there's someone who's willing to fix my stuff. Today, I was looking for a buddy of mine, and he wasn't there. One of his friends said, "Oh, he's not around. What do you need?" A kid I don't even know. I don't even know his name. I just met him. And he said, "I'll do it." I gave him all 4 of my quads. He says he's going to bring them tomorrow. And maybe I'll still be able to fly tomorrow for the GQ. But anyway, shout out to all those amazing people out there who do that. Like I said, visualizing what can go wrong will go a long, long way towards making it easier for you to deal with it when it inevitably happens to you one day. So that's, they say don't get your hopes up. And that's not just a saying, it's an important part of life. The sport has one of the highest rates of variance of any I know, along with, pretty high level of frustration, cost, and effort. It's kind of similar to my former career as a poker player in that regard. And similarly, learning to deal with the big swings that happen to you is pretty much the difference between being able to stick around or not. Like the song says, life is what happens to you while you're busy making plans. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.